My wife got pregnant by her brother-in-law to help her sister have a child. She tried to manipulate me into signing as the father. I exposed them and served her with divorce papers in front of everyone. 2 years later, she's begging me to help with her child. Hey everyone, before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Sup, Reddit. This story begins at what should have been a normal family birthday dinner, but it became the moment I realized my wife of 7 years was not the person I thought she was. Fair warning, it's long, and you really need to read the whole thing. Amanda's dad was turning 60, so her sister Caroline hosted a big family dinner at her place. It was typical family chaos. Too much food. Caroline stressing about every detail. David, Caroline's husband, grilling steaks and talking about his new boat. I was looking forward to it because we hadn't all been together in months. But I missed the strange tension between Amanda and David. The small signs that didn't seem important then. The way she laughed too hard at his jokes. The way they both offered to get drinks from the kitchen at the same time. The way his hand lingered on her shoulder as he walked behind her chair. The conversation eventually shifted to Caroline and David's fertility struggles. They had been trying for 3 years, spending a fortune on treatments, and Caroline was getting desperate. She was 34 and felt time slipping away. Amanda commented that it wasn't fair that good couples couldn't have children while others had them by accident. I thought she was being supportive. Now I know she was testing the ground for a plan she had already started. The real clue came later that week when I needed Amanda's laptop because mine was being repaired and I had a client presentation to finish. She was in the shower, and her laptop sat open on the kitchen counter. The email on the screen made my blood run cold. Fertility tracking confirmed. Peak window this Thursday. It wasn't from a doctor's office. It was from a Gmail account I didn't recognize. My gut told me something was wrong, so I did what any rational man would do. I started digging. What I found in her email history made me want to hit a wall. Months of messages between Amanda and David. Not innocent discussions. Coordination messages. Planning meetings. Timing strategies. Detailed logistics about how she would get pregnant. And the worst part was how they talked about me and Caroline like we were just problems to manage. He won't suspect anything if we're careful. Caroline's at her book club Thursdays. That's our best window. Once I'm pregnant, we just need to make the timeline make sense. But they were never planning to tell Caroline the truth. They intended for her to raise David's biological child, believing it was a generous gift from Amanda and me. David would become a father to his real child while Caroline lived a lie. And I was supposed to become the legal father and financial provider for a baby conceived through my wife and her sister's husband. The perfect crime. Except they used email. I took screenshots of everything. Every message. Every detail. Every exchange. Then I closed the laptop and sat in the kitchen for 2 hours. Just thinking. Some men would have exploded, confronted her immediately, thrown her things outside, made a scene. That's not me. I plan. I think ahead. That night, when Amanda came home from her girls' night out, which I now knew was actually time with David, I acted normal. I cooked dinner. I asked about her day. We watched Netflix. Nothing looked different, but everything was different. I wasn't going to reveal anything until I was ready to end it completely. The next morning, Amanda left for what she called a work meeting, which I now knew was likely another attempt to get pregnant by her brother-in-law. The moment she left, I started acting. My first call was to my brother Marcus. He runs a construction business and is far more financially sharp than I am. He's blunt, direct, and always has my back when things fall apart. I told him I needed to temporarily transfer ownership of my carpentry workshop for tax reasons. He immediately said, "Tax reasons my ass. What did Amanda do?" I couldn't hide it from him even if I tried. She had been sleeping with David, gotten pregnant, and planned to make me raise his child. There was a long pause. Then Marcus said, "Well, That screwed up even for her. Then, calm and steady, "Yeah, I'll take the business. When do we do this?" He didn't ask many questions after that. He didn't need to. We've always had each other's backs. And he could hear it in my voice. I was in war mode. The paperwork was finished by lunch. On paper, I no longer owned the business Amanda would try to claim half of in the divorce. Marcus and I had a handshake agreement. Once everything settled, he would transfer it back to me. But legally, I was now just an employee in his company. Next, I moved carefully. Our other assets needed protection. We had about $47,000 in our joint savings account. Money I had earned through years of 60-hour weeks and side projects. I began making business expense withdrawals. $3,000 for equipment, $5,000 for inventory, $2,500 for truck maintenance. All legitimate expenses, all documented, but they drained our joint account into my business account, which was now technically Marcus' business account. I prepaid everything I could. 6 months of truck insurance, fully paid. A year of business licenses and permits. 8 months of workshop rent, paid up front. Every expense was real. Every receipt saved. Every dollar moved away from Amanda's reach. The truth was, Amanda never paid attention to money. She did her freelance graphic design work, made decent income, but left the boring things like bills and investments to me. She had no idea how much we had or where it was kept. The house wasn't a problem either. I bought it 2 years before we married, with money I saved from my business. Her name was never on the deed, never on the mortgage, never on any paperwork. She moved into my house when we got married. Not the other way around. That 3-bedroom ranch with the big garage workshop out back was mine. Period. She became extra affectionate, cooked my favorite meals, initiated sex more often, which made my skin crawl now that I knew the truth. She talked about our future like nothing was wrong. Then she suggested we should have kids soon, probably setting the stage for her cover story. One night, while we were watching a movie, she asked, "Don't you think it's time we started trying?" I looked at her and said, "Maybe," knowing she was probably already pregnant with another man's child. The hardest part was acting normal around Caroline and David. Weeks after I discovered everything, we had dinner at their place. I sat there listening to David complain about work stress while he was secretly sleeping with my wife. Caroline talked about another failed fertility treatment, not knowing her husband was trying to impregnate her sister. I stayed quiet. I played the role, because I knew the truth would hit harder when no one expected it. About 4 weeks after I found out, Amanda started showing early pregnancy symptoms, morning sickness, fatigue, strange cravings. She told me she thought she might be pregnant and that we should wait before getting excited. I smiled. I acted supportive. 6 weeks after discovering the affair, she confirmed what I already knew. She was pregnant. She made a big show of it. The positive test in her hands. Tears streaming down her face, talking about how perfect the timing was. "I can't believe it happened so fast," she said. It was almost funny, considering she had been working on it for months with another man. I hugged her. I said the right things. I even opened a bottle of champagne to celebrate. But inside I was calculating, measuring, deciding exactly how much rope to give her before I pulled it tight. When I called Marcus to share the news, his response was perfect. "Congratulations on your wife's pregnancy with another dude's baby. Should I start shopping for world's greatest uncle to someone else's kid shirts?" Then came the family dinner where she announced the pregnancy. It was pure theater. Caroline cried, but not happy tears. She was still grieving another failed IVF cycle, and seeing her younger sister pregnant was clearly painful. David acted shocked and supportive. He performed like an Oscar-worthy actor, playing the excited soon-to-be uncle while hiding everything. And I sat there, watching it all unfold, waiting for the moment when the truth would finally explode. Amanda suggested that maybe this was fate's way of bringing our families closer together, and that she hoped Caroline and David would be very involved in the baby's life. Caroline forced a smile and said she'd love to help however she could. What Caroline didn't know was that Amanda planned to hand over the baby after birth, letting Caroline raise her own husband's child while believing it was a generous gift from her sister. In the weeks that followed, Amanda kept talking about how close our families were becoming. She said we should spend more time together. The most disturbing part was watching her work on Caroline's emotions. She invited her to prenatal appointments that weren't real appointments. She let Caroline feel the baby kick. She talked about how lucky the child would be to have such an amazing aunt. Caroline was bonding with a baby she thought was her nephew, but was actually her stepson. Amanda even brought up godparents, saying Caroline and David should obviously be chosen. She was building the entire framework for giving the child away, making it look natural, step by step. Watching Amanda smile while Caroline wiped away tears was hard. I almost spoke up right there, but I stopped myself. Let them dig the hole deeper. Meanwhile, I kept securing my assets. I had moved about $38,000 out of Amanda's reach through legitimate business expenses and prepayments. The remaining $9,000 in our joint account was enough to avoid suspicion, but not enough to matter in a divorce settlement. I also quietly consulted a divorce attorney, someone experienced in high-conflict cases involving infidelity and asset protection. I explained everything and showed him the evidence I had collected. He told me, "You've got a strong case. Adultery, fraud, emotional manipulation of family members, and the fact that you documented everything from the start puts you in an excellent position." We discussed strategy. Timing was everything. I needed maximum impact while staying legally protected. Marcus became my unofficial strategy consultant. When I told him about Amanda's plan to let Caroline raise the baby, he said, "So your wife's basically running a long-con baby swap operation. That's not manipulative at all." By Amanda's 4th month, I had everything ready. The pregnancy was visible enough that she couldn't deny it, but early enough that she hadn't fully executed her plan with Caroline. It was time to detonate the bomb she had built. Amanda decided to throw a gender reveal party at 4 months. She rented a community center, invited both families, friends, everyone, and ordered one of those cakes that reveal pink or blue when you cut into them. She treated it like the event of the year. What made it worse was how she positioned me in the planning. She described me as the supportive husband, excited to be a father. She told people I was helping plan everything, that we were in this journey together. The invitations listed both our names as hosts. She used photos of us from earlier in our marriage, from when I actually loved her, edited to look like a happy couple expecting our first child. Amanda had no idea the party would become the final chapter of her lie. 3 days before the event, I made my final preparations. I met with my lawyer one more time to review everything and finalize the divorce papers. We prepared a comprehensive filing including adultery charges, asset protection claims, and a request for full documentation of Amanda's deception. My lawyer reviewed the email screenshots, photos, and timeline I had compiled and said, "The evidence is overwhelming. She won't be able to deny any of this." I also organized copies of everything, printed email chains between Amanda and David, photos of them together, a detailed timeline of their meetings. Everything was placed in folders, ready to distribute, everyone believing the beautiful lie Amanda had created. Then someone saw me and said, "There's the proud daddy." A few people came over, shaking my hand, patting my back. I smiled and nodded, accepting the congratulations while my stomach tightened inside. These people had no idea they were celebrating adultery and betrayal. Amanda walked over and kissed my cheek for the audience. "Perfect timing," she whispered. "We're about to cut the cake." "Actually," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I have something I'd like to say first." Her smile flickered for just a second, but she nodded. "Of course, honey." Someone called for attention, and the room slowly went quiet. About 50 people turned toward me, expecting a heartfelt speech about becoming a father. I pulled out my phone and opened the folder of screenshots. "Before we celebrate," I began, calm and steady, "I think everyone should know the truth about this pregnancy." Amanda's face went white. Across the room, David dropped the microphone he was holding. For months ago, Amanda was having an affair with David. I raised my phone, showing the email screenshots. Not a one-time mistake. A deliberate, ongoing relationship designed to get her pregnant. The room fell completely silent. You could hear people breathing. The baby we're celebrating today isn't mine. It's David's. And Amanda's plan was to let Caroline raise David's biological child, while believing it was a generous gift from her sister. That's when Amanda snapped. "You bastard!" she screamed, lunging at me with her hands out like claws. "How dare you ruin this? How dare you humiliate me like this?" Two of her cousins grabbed her before she reached me, but she kept shouting, "None of you understand. This was about family. This was about love." Meanwhile, Caroline had shifted from confusion to horror to rage in seconds. She stared at the emails I handed her, reading her husband's words about coordinating meetings with her sister. "You sick bitch," Caroline said, her voice deadly quiet. "You've been screwing my husband and lying to my face for months." David rushed over, saw the chaos, and tried to grab the evidence folder from someone's hands. "Give me that," he demanded. I stepped in front of him. "Don't," I said simply. He shoved me hard, thinking he could intimidate me into backing down. That was his mistake. I hit him once. Clean right cross. He dropped in front of 50 witnesses. His nose started bleeding immediately. "Anyone else want to put their hands on me?" I asked the room. Amanda kept screaming that this was for the family, like betrayal was something noble. Caroline was crying now, calling Amanda every name she could think of. David lay on the floor, holding his broken nose. Pure chaos. I reached into my jacket and pulled out the divorce papers. "Amanda," I said, my voice cutting through the noise. "You're being served." I dropped the papers at her feet. Then I looked at the room. The party's over. I turned and walked out, got into my truck, and drove away while the most important people in Amanda's life finally saw who she really was. The weeks after the gender reveal turned into full legal warfare. Amanda hired the most expensive divorce attorney she could find, convinced she could still control the outcome. She had no idea how prepared I was. Her first move was to request temporary spousal support, claiming her pregnancy prevented her from working full-time. My attorney shut that down immediately, pointing out she had worked consistently during the affair and that the pregnancy wasn't my responsibility. Then her lawyer attacked my asset protection moves, accusing me of hiding money to avoid paying what she deserved. But Marcus and I had documented everything carefully, and every business expense was real and traceable. Marcus even gave a deposition about the business transfer, and he was direct and ruthless. When Amanda's attorney suggested something was suspicious, Marcus replied, "What's suspicious is your client screwing her sister's husband and trying to pass the baby off as my brother's. The transfer was legal. Your client is a liar." The discovery phase destroyed her confidence. She had to hand over her phone, laptop, and email accounts. Every lie, every message with David, every manipulation of Caroline surfaced in official documents that would stay on record. David's divorce from Caroline moved even faster. She caught him deleting evidence, secured a court order, and preserved everything. His lawyer advised him to cooperate and settle. But Amanda refused to fold. She made desperate claims. First, she blamed me for the affair, saying I had been emotionally distant. When that failed, she claimed my neglect forced her to seek comfort elsewhere. The DNA test was scheduled for after birth, but my attorney arranged for prenatal genetic marker testing. The results came back clear. 0% chance I was the father. 99.8% chance David was. Amanda's lawyer tried to question the reliability, but the test was court-ordered and conducted by a state-certified lab. That was when Amanda completely broke down. She showed up at my house one Tuesday evening, 8 months pregnant and furious. I made the mistake of letting her in because she looked like she was about to collapse on my doorstep. "We need to talk," she said, settling onto my couch like she still lived there. "No, we don't. Everything goes through the lawyers." She snapped back, "This is insane. You're destroying our entire family over what? A mistake. People make mistakes." I looked at her and said, "Amanda, you didn't make a mistake. You planned this for months. You lied to everyone who cared about you. You manipulated your own sister." She shouted, I was trying to help her. Caroline wanted a baby so badly, and I was giving her that. I was giving her David's baby without telling her it was David's baby. I stared at her. You were going to let her raise her husband's child with another woman and never tell her the truth. Amanda looked at me like I was speaking another language. Sometimes families have to make sacrifices. Sometimes we have to do hard things for the people we love. I shook my head. You didn't do this. She truly thought she could talk her way out of it. I kept my voice steady. Let me make this very simple. I will never, under any circumstances, take you back. I will never raise David's child. I will never forgive you for what you did to your sister. We are getting divorced, and you're going to get as little as possible from me. That's when she completely lost control. You can't do this to me, she screamed. I gave you the best years of my life. I supported your stupid business. I put up with your workaholic crap. I made sacrifices for this marriage. I looked at her. What sacrifices, Amanda? What exactly did you sacrifice? I could have done better than you. I had other options, but I chose you. And this is how you repay me? By not letting you cheat on me with your sister's husband? Yeah, I'm the monster. She jumped up, furious and desperate. Fine. You want to play hardball? I'll show you hardball. I'll tell everyone you were abusive. I'll say you threatened me. I'll say you made me afraid for my safety. I stayed calm. Go ahead. Make false accusations. See how that works in court when I have emails of you coordinating the affair and lying to everyone. She hissed. You think you've won. I'll make sure you get nothing. I'll drag this out for years. I'll make your life hell. I looked at her. Amanda, I've already won. You just haven't figured it out yet. She stood there for a minute, searching for another threat, another angle. Nothing came. Then she stormed out. 2 days later, my attorney called. Amanda had filed a restraining order, claiming I threatened her during our conversation. Did you threaten her? He asked. No, but I recorded the entire conversation on my phone. You recorded it? Every word. She admitted the affair, admitted lying to Caroline, admitted planning false abuse claims. Send me that recording immediately, he said. The restraining order was dismissed within a week. The judge listened to the recording and warned Amanda's attorney that filing false accusations could lead to sanctions. That was the moment Amanda realized she was going to lose everything. Meanwhile, her parents made their position clear. They were strict, religious people who raised their daughters to value marriage and family above all else. When they learned she had cheated on me with David and planned to deceive Caroline about the baby's paternity, they cut her off completely. Her mother called her a disgrace to the family name. Her father said she was no daughter of his until she repented. They refused financial help. They refused emotional support. They told relatives that she had brought shame on the entire family. Amanda tried calling them again and again, but they wouldn't answer. Her own parents disowned her. In January, her baby was born, a healthy boy she named Tyler. The paternity test confirmed what we already knew. David was the father. I had no legal or financial responsibility. The custody arrangement between Amanda and David fell apart immediately. Neither of them truly wanted the responsibility, but both were too proud to surrender their parental rights. David was ordered to pay child support, but after the scandal, he lost his job and took construction work for half his previous income. Amanda was barely surviving on freelance work and government assistance. Caroline wanted nothing to do with the baby, and that was completely understandable. The kid was a constant reminder of the worst betrayal of her life. My divorce was finalized in March. The settlement was better than I expected. Because I bought the house before marriage, Amanda had no claim to it. She left with her personal belongings, her car, which was mostly paid off, and about $6,000 from our joint account, everything that remained after legitimate business expenses. At the final hearing, she made one last desperate attempt, claiming I had stolen marital assets by transferring my business to Marcus. The judge reviewed the paperwork, confirmed everything was legal and properly filed, and told Amanda's attorney to move on. She then tried to argue she deserved alimony because the pregnancy reduced her ability to work. My attorney responded that the pregnancy resulted from adultery and that she had no right to financial support for another man's child. Motion denied. The judge said, "Next item. I kept the house. I kept the business, which Marcus immediately transferred back to me. I kept most of our assets. Amanda walked away with just enough to survive for a few months, nothing more. But the real damage wasn't legal, it was social and professional. Her reputation was gone. Freelance clients left once the affair and lies became known. Her friend group fractured as people chose sides. David lost his job after his employer discovered the scandal, since using company time and resources for personal affairs violated his contract. He lost most of his friends and moved back in with his parents at 38. Caroline rebuilt her life. She started dating someone new, earned a promotion at work, and looked genuinely happy for the first time in years. She cut off contact with Amanda and David completely. Amanda tried reaching out to family members, but the story had spread through both sides of the family. Her parents were ashamed and stood by their decision that she had disgraced them. Even her cousins refused contact. Meanwhile, my life improved in every way. The business Marcus and I ran was thriving. We expanded. Revenue grew beyond anything I had imagined. I also started dating Ruby, someone I met through business networking, who owned a successful ceramic studio. She was everything Amanda wasn't. Honest, direct, emotionally steady. Around that time, I decided to get a dog. I had always wanted one, but Amanda was allergic. I went to the shelter and came home with a 2-year-old golden retriever mix named Buddy, returned twice for being too energetic. Buddy became the perfect addition to my life. He was goofy, chasing his own tail for 10 minutes, trying to catch raindrops in his mouth, and constantly bringing random items as gifts. Socks, TV remotes, once an entire roll of toilet paper. David had relocated again for work and struggled with child support payments. The custody situation was chaotic. Amanda and David could barely speak without arguing, which left Tyler caught in the middle constantly. Caroline married the man she had been dating and was truly happy. They moved to a pleasant suburb and discussed starting their own family. She made it clear that Amanda and David were permanently cut off. Amanda tried to reconnect with relatives, but the damage was too deep. Her parents maintained their stance that she had brought shame on the family. The last I heard, they still refused to acknowledge her or offer any help. Meanwhile, my life kept getting better. Ruby and I got engaged, and she moved into my house, the house I bought before I ever met Amanda. We turned the spare bedroom into Ruby's art studio, and she loved having the space to work on her pottery. Buddy bonded with Ruby instantly, and watching them together confirmed I had made the right choice. Amanda used to complain about everything. The house was too small. The neighborhood was too quiet. My work took too much time. Ruby never complained. She appreciated what we were building together. The business was stronger than ever. Marcus and I bought 2 more properties and expanded into custom home building. We hired 3 full-time employees and were booked solid for the next 18 months. Ruby and I got married last fall. A small ceremony. Close friends and family. No drama. Just people who truly supported us. Buddy was our ring bearer. He walked down the aisle with the rings tied to his collar, tail wagging nonstop. At the reception, he went table to table, collecting pets and treats from guests. About a month after the wedding, I had a Sunday morning ritual. Coffee on the back deck with Buddy while Ruby worked in her garage studio. It was a perfect fall morning. Crisp air. Leaves turning. Then the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, maybe a neighbor or a delivery. I opened the door and felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Amanda stood on my porch holding Tyler. The child clung to her, face buried in her shoulder. She looked terrible. Hair in a messy ponytail. Dark circles under her eyes. Clothes that hadn't been washed properly. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "I'm sorry," she said immediately. "I know I shouldn't be here, but I didn't know where else to go. I didn't invite her in." I stayed in the doorway, arms crossed. "David's gone," she said, voice cracking. "He hasn't paid child support in 4 months. I lost my apartment last week. We've been staying in my car." Tyler peeked at me, then hid again. David's eyes. Amanda's chin. Not his fault. His parents created this mess. That's not my problem, Amanda. Please, she whispered. Just enough for a security deposit. I'll pay you back. I swear. No, her eyes filled with tears. We have nowhere to go. My parents won't answer. Caroline blocked me. I've tried everything. She kept talking. Shelters, social services, churches. I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for Tyler. I heard footsteps behind me. Ruby appeared beside me, wearing her clay-stained apron, hair tied back, looking calm and concerned. Everything okay? She asked quietly. Amanda's face collapsed when she saw Ruby. The reality of my new life hit her at once. Her eyes moved to Ruby's wedding ring, then to mine. You're married, she whispered. Yes, I said. Amanda started crying. Real broken sobs. Tyler looked scared, confused by his mother's breakdown. I've lost everything, she choked out. Everything. And you just replaced me like I never existed. You made your choices, Amanda. She wiped her face, still holding Tyler. So that's it? You're just going to turn us away? Yes. My voice stayed steady. This isn't my responsibility anymore. Leave now, or I'll call the police. You wouldn't, she said, but she didn't sound sure. I pulled out my phone. You have 30 seconds. Ruby gently touched my arm. I'll get some water and a snack for the little one. I nodded. She went inside. That small kindness seemed to break something in Amanda. She sat down on the porch step, still holding Tyler. What happened to you? She asked. You used to be such a kind person. Ruby returned with a bottle of water, an apple and a granola bar. She handed them over without a word. Thank you, Amanda whispered. You need to go now, I said. Don't come back. I watched her walk to her car, an old beater replacing the nice sedan she had during our marriage. Tyler looked back over her shoulder. A child trapped in a mess he didn't create. As they drove away, I felt nothing but relief. Buddy nudged my leg, tennis ball in his mouth, ready to continue the morning as if nothing had happened. That's the difference between us. When I realized my marriage was built on lies, I made hard choices and left. When Amanda realized she wasn't happy, she made selfish choices that hurt everyone. She wanted me to sacrifice my self-respect and raise another man's child to protect her secret. She expected me to help her deceive Caroline. I chose the truth. It hurt, but it was better than living inside someone else's lie.